On this post-game edition of Jets FM on the Ourlads Football Network, the Jets lose their home opener to the Dolphins as turnovers, penalties, and overall sloppy play cost the upstarts as they fall to 1-1. Jan Levine and I will give you the ugly recap as Jets FM's post-game coverage on the OFN starts now. All right, it's Sunday, September 16th, 2018. I'm Greg DePalma. This is the Jets FM Week 2 postgame edition on the Ourlads Football Radio Network at ourlads.com. Jets FM is brought to you by ourlads.com with the best New York Jets depth charts in the industry. PrimeSportsNetwork.com, the sleeper sports site on the internet where we debate, handicap, and inform with the very best. And don't forget, all the best weekly Jets news available at NewYorkJets.com, including Rennie Lang's 7-point game previews available on Fridays, except don't forget, this Wednesday with the Jet game on Thursday. His Inside the Numbers articles available on Saturdays and comprehensive post-game coverage from the top NewYorkJets.com staff following every game all season long. All right, let's welcome in Jan Levine from RotoWire.com. And Jan, disappointing loss for the Jets, but look, the way it started with a rookie mistake and a few other rookie mistakes, throw in just a lot of just bad, timely plays. Again, additional turnovers. It just was one of those games where, look, I've seen a lot of games over the weekend. College and pro. I ran through a bunch of NFL games too while I was watching the Jet game, and I'm just chalking this up also to combination of it's just a bad game. It's early in the season. You throw in a rookie quarterback that makes a few bad mistakes, and this is what you get. I'm not going to jump off a cliff. This is just the way a team has to develop during a season. It's early, and it's just a bad loss. That's it. You move on, and hopefully you beat Cleveland, and their losing streak doesn't end with you.
I think the intro you use, using the word ugly, is the apt way to describe it. I mean, just pure ugliness all over the place. Defensively, started with the first play of the game with Tannehill with a naked bootleg, no backside containment, gains 20 yards. The last play, when they got the two first downs with an all-out blitz for no reason at all, in my opinion, with 3rd and 19, give up a 20-yard completion to Frank Gore. Then you had Tannehill again with another basically naked bootleg, no backside containment, gained the first down to, in essence, put a cap in the game. I mean, it was horrific ugliness on defense, lots of bad penalties, including Buster Screen, in terms of him getting burnt also.
Yeah, he was awful.
Offensively, he had a Nunwa in the end zone. Should have had a touchdown there. Then I don't know how you don't kick a field goal or throw the ball into the end zone. Herndon gets stopped at the 1. Later in the game, you get a strip sack, and you have an opportunity to potentially gain some points there. First play afterwards, miscommunication between him and Terrell Pryor, throws a pick in the end zone. Just a lot of pure ugliness in a game that the Jets had myriad of opportunities to potentially win the game, and they honestly, that's why I know a lot of people will go with same old Jets, and it's kind of hard not to think that's an
screw them
right now in terms of. I'm sorry. They blew this game. They played poorly on both sides of the ball. They blew this game. They gave the game away to Miami.
It's just same old Jets is a lazy, ignorant term that only means something here if you believe that the Jets will be the same old Jets this season. And if you believe that, then every person that says same old Jets today, go ahead, say it, then say that's the season they're going to have, and at the end of the season, we'll see who's right, whether it's the same old Jets or not, because it won't be.
I'm not saying it's the season, but it's kind of hard not to put this loss into that category based upon the manner in which they lost this game.
Everybody loses ugly games. Everybody. Pittsburgh is getting destroyed by the Chiefs. You know how ugly that game is for the Steelers?
Different category in terms of team that they're playing in terms of the Chiefs, in my opinion, and the Dolphins.
It's just the point.
Different category of teams, different class of teams. No comparison between the two. And the manner in which they lost this game is just, unfortunately, that description can get used. I'm not
All
saying
right,
it's 100%
then you
accurate,
think the Jets are going to suck this year, then, right?
No, I didn't.
Well, you're saying it's the same old Jets.
The type of loss is the same old Jets.
No, that's again. I don't want to. That's lazy.
Year.
Okay, so every time the Jets lose this season in a bad loss, you're going to say it's the same old Jets.
I'm not going to project forward that way. You can put it this way. It's kind of hard. Look, you can take some positives from this loss. It's kind of hard based the way that this game went to find silver linings. I mean, look, a lot of rookie mistakes you mentioned. Darnold, bad pass didn't look off the safety. McDonald picked him. The pass to Pryor was a bad throw, but he made some good plays.
Yeah, well, let me ask you a question. What happens if Darnold doesn't throw those 2 interceptions? What happens in this game?
You may be Boise in a 12-12 game, seeing who wins the game.
There you go. So how is it same old Jets when you got a rookie quarterback who is going to make his mistakes? We know he's going to be fine. He also played well when he didn't make his mistakes, which is very encouraging. And by the way, when overall, really, if you look at it, the defense, I think, played poorly in, 2 drives, the 1 touchdown drive, and then the last drive of the game. That's it. Everything else, the Jets gave the Dolphins. It was just a sloppy game where, again, okay, you want to criticize them for not going for the field goal and at the end of the half. That's okay, but I'm not. But again, are we criticizing him if Herndon goes in and scores a touchdown? So I didn't really look at that and go kick the field goal. I was okay with what they were doing. I'm not second guessing that. Look, there were some things like busted screen, same old Jets, things like that. But overall, look, if this is year 3 of Sam Darnold, we win this game by 20. That's how encouraged I am about looking between the lines and seeing that there's still a lot of things that I see that's good, including I think the defense played pretty well for most of the game, with the exception of Buster Screen and a couple of drives.
I mean, to me, the big couple screen with you stop them twice and you get penalties on defensive holding, one by Claiborne, one by Screen. That's just inexcusable. Offensively, late in the game, they're driving to get 1st and 10 deep in Dolphin territory. You have back-to-back false starts penalties.
That was bad.
The clock and forces you. That's just horrific. So
yeah, that was bad. Matter of fact, I think this is a bad matchup, to tell you the truth. And it's going to be even maybe by 10 to play the Dolphins again, which will be early November. Darnold will have a lot more starts under his belt, so that'll be good. But their defensive line obviously did a really good job, which was expected. That was going to be the part where the Dolphins were going to have an edge. But still, it was just so many little things that just went wrong for the Jets as well. This is still relatively a young team, with a lot of new parts. That's what I'm saying, too. There's that's just a steal. There's just so many teams out there that in week 2 of the season, there's just so much changeover in the NFL. You're going to get sloppy games like this sometimes. That's what I chalk it up to. I try not to. That's why when they won the game last week, hey, it's great. I loved it. But I didn't get carried away with it to the point where they lose this game and I'm going to be like, I'm in Depressedville and this is going to be a lousy season again. It's just a loss. That's it. And as long as they don't lose to Cleveland, then I'm okay with it. They lose to Cleveland, then I'll start to maybe move a little bit more closer to your side.
And again, I'm not overreacting. I'm just saying the manner in which they lost harkens back to other losses in the past. It's especially when you come home off a really big win. You have all the hype, and again, the hype may have been too much. You have all you think you'd have momentum. The Dolphins really didn't do a ton to make me think they're a very good team.
You're right.
Tannehill made some plays. Drake was okay.
Jets are a better team.
One nice catch.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not a particularly great team. They have a good defensive line, Wake and Quinn, which created pressure, especially for Beachum and for Carpenter. The offensive line didn't do a particularly good job. Robbie Anderson, they need to start going to him, in my opinion, a bit more. They didn't go to him a ton. We see how good Enunwa was. He looks to be all the way back.
Yep.
They just, in my opinion, it's a game that was there for the taking, and because of mistakes, which has been the hallmark of this team in the past, that's what created the loss. And I'm not saying that it's going to repeat itself week after week, but in a situation where every game matters, and I'm not expecting them to make the playoffs, I want to see incremental improvement. To throw away a game where you had an opportunity to win because of mistakes that should have been preventable mistakes, to me, that's really difficult to take, and that's what concerns me in terms of a loss like this.
Well, look, I think everything you said is right, except going into the same old Jets thing. Because that, again, that's just, don't do it. That's, and you look, you live in New York and I don't. And I think that's part of it. You got to hear it all the time. I don't. And so I've been completely phased out of the way the New York media overreacts positively and negatively to everything that goes on with New York teams. It happened this past week. You sent me the email earlier today with the Daily News thing with Sam Darnold on it. It's ridiculous. And did the Jets overreact? No, they didn't. It was the New York media. It's the same New York media that I guarantee you, just let's check out and I said this when I responded to you in email. Just wait what happens, prophetic, when they have an ugly loss. Well, here it is. Now we're going to look at all the Daily News back covers about how ugly the Jets played today. We're going to get some snarky little comments about just a snarky little way that it was all positive. It's going to be snarky negative. And then you're going to hear, and then what happens is you get to the national media because of the way the New York media reacts. The national media will try to slam down the Jets like they did this week, and some of them were ridiculous and talking about, hey, could the Jets contend with the Patriots this year? It's just ridiculous nonsense. So if you keep yourself at an even level like I am trying to do at this point in week 2, I think it's important to look at things like they held Tannehill to 168 total yards. Drake was the leading rusher. He had 53 yards. So, again, the Jet defense last week and this week, they've been actually very good. Copeland, he is looking like all of a sudden, here's a guy that we weren't even sure could make the roster. He's providing some pass rush. Adams continues to look like a superstar, so that's great. And overall, the only really sore spot on defense all day was Buster Skrine if you're looking at an individual player. And that's unfortunate because Buster had played pretty well for the last end of 2017 and, up until this point. But hopefully he won't revert back to the old Buster because that's not good.
I agree. Skrine, to my opinion, was, for lack of a better term, a major wolf today. I mean, he was horrific, especially on that first touchdown drive. I mean, he made a couple of poor plays. That penalty was a horrible penalty. And if you look at kind of the way the game went, that's what created a lot of difficulty associated with the game. And right there and then, they got off to a bad start. They were at least attempting to play the field possession game, and they were failing miserably in that game, especially in the first quarter.
Yes, that's the good point. Half. That's a great point. That field position.
That killed them.
Yes, field position
killed them in terms of backing up and backing up and backing up.
Yep.
And even when they made a good play or two, then because they had one failing, and then they had no opportunity to basically recover from it because they were so deep in their own territory. But defensively, they didn't play badly. They're not going to shut out a team. They're not going to stop a team completely. The touchdown to Wilson was Skrine, just got beat one-on-one, and this is the problem, is they ran the all-out blitz again, and that was another play where they left guys one-on-one in coverage, and Skrine got burned.
That's good.
You can do that with Adams. When May comes back, you can do that with May. You can probably do it with Claiborne. You can do it with Johnson. You can't do it with a Skrine in the slot. That's just not his game. And that's why I have to see. I'm going to watch the all-22.
Yeah, but that's what Skrine does. That's his position, is playing the slot.
I agree, but I'm at a loss to understand how 3rd and 19, late in the game, you need the ball back. The Dolphins need at least 10 yards to get into field goal position. Why do you come with an all-out blitz? What's the benefit of doing the all-out blitz? Maybe you gain a little yardage if you stack him. If he throws it away, you're probably going to be in the same position all over again. Why not play good positional defense, stop them, get the ball back, 2 minutes, 2 timeouts, 2-minute warning as well, and give yourself an opportunity to come down and tie the game.
Yeah. Look, that was not look, the call didn't work out. I agree with you. There's no reason in the NFL. College is different. In the NFL, you don't make 3rd and 19. So unless you basically have some sort of fluke play, especially when you're leading, they're going to be conservative. So, yeah, that was a really bad call. I can only guess that they're looking to make a play. They're looking to turn something big into 3rd and 19, but it was a bad call. But, look, again, overall, this is what happens when we have to nitpick the defense when the defense had a good game. I mean, we have to nitpick them because the offense was sloppy. But if you take the offense and you say, all right, don't be sloppy, play a good game, the defense, even though one bad coaching move, Buster Skrine, bad plays, one bad drive here and there, a couple of bad things, and that's going to win you a football game. It's like Detroit. I mean, we had 2 really bad drives with Detroit where Stafford just zinged us down the field, and yet it didn't matter because we won the game so big. But if you look at it, what happens if we scored 12 points in that game? Then we're going to be talking about the defense, letting Stafford, win the game so easily. So I'm not going to. I really don't want to even do anything to critique the defense too much, except for Buster Skrine, because keep in mind too, you were talking about one play here, one play there with the whole position battle. When it finally looked like we were going to get out of the position battle, Anderson fumbled. And that was also huge because as soon as Anderson fumbled, that same drive for Miami is where you had the Buster Skrine personal foul, followed by the Buster Skrine gives up a touchdown. That sequence right there starts with the offense, sloppy, and then you go to what Buster did. So the personal fouls, the turnovers, Sam Darnold's early interception. The one that was really the killer for Darnold was the interception in the end zone. I don't know who to blame, but it's just you just can't do that because if the Jets score and it's 20-14, then all of a sudden it's 20-14 or 20-13. You got a whole quarter to go, and I think we feel pretty good about ourselves. But unfortunately, he threw another pick. He's a rookie. What are you going to do?
No, I agree. I mean, the Robbie Anderson fumble was a huge play in that game. I mean, that just literally completely changed the complexion because it looked like the Jets had finally regained some momentum, rebound some momentum.
A couple of
They
times.
were going to drive down, at least get some points on the board. All of a sudden, you turn around, and then, I mean, look, that's another play that just can't happen. I mean, look, turnovers happen, physical errors happen. A play like that is one of those where you look up, and that's when you need to be careful and secure the ball and make sure you don't give it away. I mean, and there's other plays. Look, I really want to see what happened again on the play to Pryor to kind of see, was it Pryor made a bad read on the route? Was it just a bad throw, which is what it looked like from Darnold in terms of the throw? To me, what it looked like was a bad throw. It could have been a combination of the two, but for whatever the reason was, that play also ended up being a killer because you've just gotten momentum based upon stopping
the turnover. The turnover,
the territory.
Yeah.
Got a turnover. You're going to go in. You look like at a minimum you're getting 3.
Yeah.
And if they get a touchdown there, the crowd's going to go absolutely ballistic and insane.
Yep.
And then you just turn the ball over and completely deflate your team and the fan base.
Well, that's the thing. They just made that's what I'm saying. The offense made just too many mistakes, especially at times when it looked like they were going to gain the momentum in the game. And that's why, again, look, Sam Darnold, even though he made the mistakes, threw for 334 yards. Not bad for a second start. One of the things they couldn't do is run the ball. But again, I think that's where, look, the Dolphins' defensive front against the Jets' offensive front, they've got the advantage, a big advantage, because the Dolphins have one of the best 4-3 lines in football. And we know the Jets are an average to below average offensive line. So that's going to be a mismatch, and they took advantage of it. And credit the Dolphins for doing that, for forcing Sam Darnold to throw the ball as much as he did, because when Sam Darnold has to throw the ball as much as he does, what happens? He's going to be susceptible to making mistakes, and that's exactly so that's just a bad matchup for the Jets, and it's going to hurt. But look, we also mentioned the Enunwa wide open in the end zone situation where that was just a bad pass by Darnold. If he hits him there, it's a touchdown. And since he didn't hit him there, then they went to Herndon, who couldn't get into the end zone. So there were 2 chances to get in the end zone late, and he couldn't do it. And that was, again, some sort of momentum that got completely shot before they were able to go into the half. And then Herndon dropped that 30-yard pass, which was a great play by Darnold, scrambling around, and Herndon was out there, but he couldn't get it. And you mentioned the back-to-back false starts, when once again they looked like they had some momentum on a drive, and that one killed it, and they had to settle for the field goal. So they must have had about 4 or 5 huge momentum diffusing plays, which is, again, why it was pretty sloppy. But overall, again, I still think, look, I'm not. Everybody knows out there I'm not going to be biased. That's the whole idea. You lose credibility when you are. But I just think the Jets are a better team than the Dolphins. They just made more mistakes. That's it. When you make mistakes and you give the game away to the other team in the NFL, you're going to lose most of the time unless you're playing the Browns. So I still think that's heartening enough where I believe by the end of the season, the Jets should be a second-place team, and it's not because I'm throwing any crazy ideas out there. I see what I see, and by the end of the season, Darnold's going to get better. The defense is playing really well, and I think overall, if they avoid injuries, I still think this is going to be a very solid season for the Jets. It's just a very bad day.
I'm not disagreeing with you. It's just, as you said, when you lose a game like this where you should potentially win the game, and yeah, I agree with you. I do think they are a better team than Dolphins, and that's what gets so frustrating and annoying because you lost the game that you should have won. And you threw, not just lost the game you should have won, you in essence kind of threw away the game you should have won based upon, look, physical errors are going to happen. I understand that. But certain physical errors, Herndon, that's a ball you have to catch. Pryor one in his hands, he dropped it as well. Mental errors are going to happen. You run a wrong route. But physical errors are going to happen also, but certain physical errors you would think should be prevented. And a ball like that in your hands, on a throw like that from Darnold, especially escaping pressure and laying it over the linebacker in front of the safety with several yards of room so you don't have to worry about getting popped on the catch, that's a ball that has to get caught. And again, it's another instance where you had a shot at gaining momentum. The crowd would have gotten into it. You would have been driving. You would have had a shot to potentially go into the end zone. And there was another opportunity lost in a game where there was way too many opportunities lost, which is what resulted in the defeat.
The good thing is, again, a few other good things. Adams continues to look like he's ready to take off and be a superstar as early as this season. Being on the old rookie team, I don't care about that. Big difference between even the way he played last year and what he's doing this year in 2 games. He's looking like he's already going to be not only he looks like he could be on the All-Pro team this year. In year 2, and we knew that he had the talent, and that's huge. It's also nice to see, like I mentioned Copeland's name before, it's nice to see that he's applying some pressure because the Jets could use that. He should have had 2 sacks if it wasn't for Screen's holding call on 3rd down, so that's encouraging. And again, it's also encouraging that, like I said, we have to take the bad games from Sam Darnold. They're going to come. This is not it. He's going to have some more bad games. Now, the hope is when Darnold has bad games, the rest of the team doesn't. Unfortunately, Darnold had an erratic game, and the team played poorly and sloppy in the same game. Darnold didn't play well. That combination is never going to get Jets a win this season. So when Darnold has a couple of more erratic games this season, which he will, hopefully the rest of the team will pick him up. And they'll still be able to avoid those games and come away with wins. But the combination is a deadly sin, and that's what happened to them today. But, again, very encouraged with Sam Darnold. I don't care about the mistakes from Sam Darnold. What I care about is how he continues to respond off the mistakes, and he continues to look a lot better than a second-game rookie quarterback. And that has to be, to me, it's very exciting to see that they've got themselves a heck of a quarterback that will be around here for a long time.
Agreed. It absolutely looks like they have their number one quarterback for the future. But it's, as you said, in a game like this where he has certain struggles, and I don't think he played particularly badly. He made 2 bad throws and clearly looked to be a bit overhyped, which is odd to say for him early on. A lot of his throws were sailing high. You would love the running game to take some of the pressure off him, and that didn't happen.
Nope.
You'd like the defense at times to come up with big stops, and at times they did, but they made physical and mental mistakes, which allowed Dolphins to extend drives, and that created also the field position issue. And I don't think special teams was great. Last week they were phenomenal. This week they clearly were not in that realm, and that also hurt them because they weren't able to turn the field over. Lachlan Edwards had one really good deep punt, but unfortunately he kicked it on the line drive, and you turn around, the guy's returning it for 25 yards. So basically your 55-yard kick becomes a 30-yard net, which does nothing for you in terms of flipping field position and allowing Miami to control the clock some more.
Yeah, I think the key, though, definitely is the running game. The Jets cannot allow Sam to. There are not going to be many situations this season that if the Jets get stymied in the running game, that they're going to come out on top. They're just not. They're probably going to be more 40%. Of course, it depends. Look, if they're playing average teams like the Dolphins, who are an average team, they play average teams like the Dolphins, and I give them a 40 to 35% chance, somewhere in that range, of winning a game against an average team if the running game is stalled. Because then you're just putting way too much pressure on the combination of the rookie quarterback and the defense. And that's what happened today. So, look, hopefully the Jets can beat Cleveland on Thursday. It's a short week, and it's a big game early in the season because you don't want to lose to Cleveland on their losing streak. Cleveland blew another one today. They were winning the entire game, and then they lose the game late. And the way they lost, I don't even know if you saw it. I did. But the way they lost was excruciating. Now, they didn't lose week one. There was a tie, so I guess they're not on a losing streak. Let me rephrase it. They're on a non-winning streak. It's been I don't know how many games since their last win. So what we don't want to do is lose to a team on Thursday that hasn't won a game, and I don't even know what the number is now. That would be a bad way to start the season after what happened on Monday. So if they can beat Cleveland on Thursday, and I know we won't talk on the postgame show, not sure whether or not you're going to be available on Friday. Are you going to be available on Friday morning with Randy?
I am available Friday morning. And by the way, Cleveland will be hiring, I assume, a new field goal kicker this week after how they blew this game this week.
I don't know. It's possible. Look, it wasn't the extra point that killed them because the Saints took the lead late anyway, so that wouldn't have mattered. And the last field goal was 52 yards. So I don't know what happened earlier as far as how many other things he did wrong, because I didn't watch the whole game, obviously. But, look, that's why last week when I was talking about the game with the Steelers that I thought that Jackson was wrong in being too conservative late in the game and relying on Gonzalez to try and win the game for him and break the losing streak. To me, that was Jackson's fault. But anyway, this is why you look for veteran kickers, but that's the Browns' problem. Let's hope they continue to have that problem next week. That would be good for us. But anyway, it's Thursday night. We'll talk about it. I'll be on the air on Thursday night, and I'll do a quick post-game show, and then we'll be back on Friday. And Randy and I will have our segment, and then Jan, hopefully you'll have time to call in after Randy. We'll get everybody's take on the Thursday night game. And like I said, especially with no game on Sunday, it'll be a long 10 days if the Jets lose to Cleveland. So hopefully they get a win. This is a distant memory, and the Jets can go 2-1, because if the Jets go 1-2 heading to Jacksonville, that's not a good way to start the season. So, Jan, anything else? Any other parting shots before we let you go?
No, I mean, as I said, I think you have to wipe the stench of the game out and look forward to Cleveland. Quick turnaround week. Cleveland coming off a very disappointing loss in a game they probably should have won. And there's plenty of questions about New Orleans because they have not looked particularly good the first 2 weeks of the season. And the Jets need to go in with the mindset of establishing the run early. New Orleans did it by moving Kamara. You can see what he can do. So you would kind of hope that the Jets would have a similar game plan with Bilal Powell, using he and Crowell on the run, basically setting up the pass, maybe some getting them out into space like they do with Kamara. And then you would think in terms of the defense that Cleveland has, which you're going to have another tough battle with Myles Garrett up front, and their front four is a pretty good front four in Cleveland.
Sure.
And again, the offensive line is going to be the key to this game, as they can neutralize Garrett and give Darnold a little bit of time. That secondary can be picked on, and I'd like to see Anderson used a bit more, but now with Kearse back and Enunwa and Anderson and Pryor, those four guys should be able to hopefully find some spaces in the secondary, presuming Darnold's given time to throw.
Well, look, we talked about this before, and what we've seen the first couple of games does not surprise me with Anderson's role. I think Anderson's role is what we've seen the first two games. I think when you've got Pryor and Enunwa and Kearse, they're going to get the bulk of the receptions, and that's just the way it is. They're more possession-type guys, big physical guys. And by the way, Robbie Anderson, just to show you another thing, and I'm not blaming him, but just keep in mind the little things that lost the game today, right after Darnold's interception. If Anderson is able to make the tackle right away, Dolphins have the ball at 45, not the 15. So those are the little things that happened in the game today that went against the Jets and it cost them field position right away and got them behind early. But to me, that's how I think Robbie Anderson's going to be used. I think he's going to be used more as a deep threat. As long as they got all those other guys, I just think Darnold has too many options to go underneath. And again, size matters when you're looking for guys to pick up 10 or 15 yards or a first down.
No, I agree. And the only thing I said is I would like to have seen them try to go deep maybe once Darcy Anderson. Even if you overthrow him,
that's true.
It gives them. It basically creates the threat for the defense where they have to worry about the deep ball and then maybe create some more open seams for the possession receivers that they have. And look, the good part, it looks like Nunn was back.
Yep.
After missing all of last year with the injury, he's had a very strong first couple of games.
Yep.
Kearse didn't do much today coming back from the abdominal injury.
Mm-hmm.
He'll get incorporated into the game plan a bit more. Pryor was up and down today. Like I said, I'd like to really see what happened on that play. Was it a missed read? Was it a miscommunication with the two of them? Was it just a bad throw by Darnold? Which one resulted in the pick? So it's something that can get ironed out moving forward. And then the offensive line, we've talked about it before. We were concerned coming into the year. They played okay last week. One of the things I would like to see, and they were talking a lot on the broadcast today, is we saw it a little bit on the play with Herndon, is getting Darnold outside to use his athleticism to create time and space. And I thought that wasn't something they didn't do enough of that today to give him opportunities to maybe use his legs to try to create some opportunities.
All right, so that is going to wrap it up. We are going to be back once again on Thursday night. Boy, that's going to be a late one for me, so not sure I'm looking forward to it if the Jets lose, that's for sure. But then again, if the Jets lose, I'll probably do a quick one. I can't imagine that I'm going to be pumped up and energized for an 11:30 Eastern postgame show if the Jets lose to the Cleveland Browns. But hopefully I will be pumped up. Hopefully I'll be up until 2 in the morning feeling good about a Jet win, and we'll talk about it on Thursday night. Jan will join me with Randy on Friday, and then we'll be back again a whole week after that with no Sunday action for the New York Jets. So thanks for tuning in to this post-game edition of Jets FM on the Our-Lads Football Radio Network. You can follow Jan on Twitter at AirJan23. You can follow us on Twitter at PrimeSN. Also, by the way, email us, jets@primesportsnetwork.com, jets@primesportsnetwork.com, and have your questions or comments. We'll talk about it on the air here on Jets FM. So for Jan Levine, I'm Greg DePalma. Thanks for tuning in to Jets FM's post-game show. Jets are 1-1. You know the drill. Alpha, Mike, Foxtrot.